The night the danger arrived, the upscale Manhattan restaurant was wrapped in a calm so perfect it almost felt like a warning. The city lights glowed against the tall glass windows, the soft music drifted through the candlelit tables, and yet a storm was already forming in the corner booth where a young billionaire CEO, Alina Ward, reviewed her files under the warm golden light. She didn't see the four men watching her, but someone else did. A single dad, a tired waiter named Marcus Hale, carrying a tray in one hand and a lifetime of buried skills in the other. And when those men stood, when their chairs scraped the floor in a way that did not match the atmosphere, Marcus's pulse shifted, with the sharp clarity of someone who had once lived another life entirely. If you believe in kindness, courage, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Act of Kindness. Your support helps us keep these inspiring stories alive. Marcus was used to long days and silent struggles. A single father raising an 8-year-old daughter, he spent his mornings packing school lunches, his afternoons in school hallways waiting for late dismissal, and his nights serving customers in the restaurant just to keep the lights on. He had thick forearms from carrying trays, tired eyes from sleepless nights, and a calm nature that made customers assume he had never lived dangerously. But the truth, what no one in the restaurant knew, was that Marcus had once been a highly trained emergency response specialist for a private agency, a man who had stepped into chaos before, a man who had walked away from it for his daughter's safety, and a man who prayed each night that trouble would never again find him. But trouble had already chosen its target. Alina Ward was well known, but what most people didn't know was that she had launched massive corruption investigations inside several industries. She was the kind of leader who never bows to pressure, and that made her the kind of person powerful enemies wanted silenced. As Marcus watched the men approach her table, four strangers, far too coordinated, their steps too controlled, his instincts screamed warnings like alarms in an empty hallway. Alina barely had time to register the danger before they surrounded her table. One blocked her exit, one leaned too close, and the other two scanned the room as if calculating witnesses. Marcus tightened his grip on the tray. His chest rose with a slow breath. He could feel the old version of himself, the one he tried so hard to bury, standing up inside him. He stepped forward. At first, no one noticed him. After all, he was just a waiter, just a tired single dad working the night shift. But as he approached the table, his posture changed, his walk sharpened, and his eyes focused as if he had walked through scenes exactly like this before. He placed the tray on a nearby table and stood behind Alina, positioning himself between her and the men as naturally as if he belonged there. The men exchanged glances, irritated, but Marcus did not flinch. He simply looked at each one of them, steady, quiet, unshaken. Something in his stare made them pause. One of the men reached toward Alina's bag. Another nudged her shoulder, and in that small moment when the restaurant seemed to hold its breath, Marcus moved with the precision of someone who had once trained for moments like this. He did not strike. He did not escalate. Instead, he did the one thing none of them expected. He spoke calmly, firmly, and with a presence that felt like a wall rising between danger and innocence. His voice was soft enough for only them to hear, but cold enough to turn their confidence to unease. The men stiffened. They were ready for a fight. They were not ready for someone who knew how to end one. When one man reached into his jacket, Marcus reacted faster than sight, knocking his hand aside and shifting his weight to block Alina completely. The restaurant erupted in gasps, chairs scraping as people backed away, the faint sound of a glass shattering in the corner as shock rippled across the room. Marcus pushed the first man off balance, pivoted to keep the others in view, and guided Alina toward the safe side of the floor. His hidden skill, quick, strategic disarming, was not loud or dramatic. It was clean, controlled, and decisive. Security arrived within seconds, alerted by the commotion. The men were restrained. The danger was over within moments, but the world that followed moved much slower. Alina sat trembling, the weight of what almost happened settling on her shoulders like heavy rain. She looked at Marcus not with fear, but with astonishment, because in the span of a few seconds, this quiet waiter had completely changed her fate. After the police took statements and the restaurant calmed, Alina asked Marcus why he had stepped in. He simply said he did what anyone should do. But Alina knew better. The way he moved, the way he assessed danger, this was not an ordinary man. This was someone whose courage had been shaped by life, pain, and responsibility. In the days that followed, Alina did something completely unexpected. She visited Marcus at his small apartment complex, where she found him returning from picking up his daughter, Ava, from school. Alina bent down to greet the shy little girl holding her worn backpack and looking up with curious brown eyes. And something in that moment shifted between them. Alina saw not just a man who saved her life, but a father trying with everything he had to build a safe world for his child. She offered him a new opportunity, security consulting for her corporation, with full benefits, a stable salary, and flexible hours for Ava. Marcus resisted at first. He didn't want his old life back, but Alina wasn't asking for the man he used to be. She was offering a life where he could provide for his daughter without drowning in exhaustion. For the first time in years, Marcus allowed himself to hope. He moved into a better apartment. Ava started art classes she had always dreamed of. Marcus had weekends free for the first time in his life. And Alina, who had spent years surrounded by corporate walls, found inspiration in the quiet bravery of a man who never expected recognition. They became close, not rushed, not romantic, but deeply connected. Two people changed by one night, walking into a future neither had planned but both had needed. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue sharing meaningful stories on Act of Kindness. Before you go, comment below. What was the most inspiring moment for you in this story?